All right, locally, more than 1,000 student athletes making a big statement. They've collected more than 3,000 pairs of shoes to represent the nearly 3,000 lives lost on 9/11, the nearly 3,000 people shot in Chicago in 2016, and 3,000 homeless youth in the city. They're putting the shoes out on display in front of the Willis Tower and then giving them to those in need. And then joining us right now to talk about the event, Joe Trost. Thanks for joining us this morning. How's everything going out there?
Morning, how are you doing?
Excellent. Tell us, how did you collect all these shoes?
So I'm out here with the Making a Difference on and off the field campaign. Yesterday there were hundreds of high school and thousands of high school student athletes who took part in the opening day of the PepsiCo Showdown, which is the largest high school soccer tournament in the U.S. While they were making a difference on the field, off the field through Buddy's Helpers, which is the community service arm of the PepsiCo Showdown, they collected and donated 3,000 pairs of shoes. And as you noted earlier, 3,000 is a very important number on today's date. Obviously, there were nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives on 9/11, but also in the city of Chicago, in just 275 days this year, we've had nearly 3,000 people shot. And with that, there are nearly 3,000 homeless youth between the ages of 13 to 17. So it's a great opportunity for the youth of today who took part in the PepsiCo Showdown to make a difference off the field through Buddy's Helpers and, collect and donate the shoes. And it's something that obviously they're very proud of, and it's going to make an impact for quite a few people.
How did the idea develop for shoes specifically?
I think it's really, as we're trying to bring awareness to remind people about the importance of what happened on 9/11, what's going on in the city of Chicago, and then homeless youth. When you put out shoes, they represent, people in ways. There were family members who lost their lives on 9/11, brothers, sisters. There's folks, teammates who have been shot in the city of Chicago. So, we wanted the opportunity to bring the awareness to these things, but also to help people get back on their feet. And that's an opportunity that we have when we'll make these surprise donations to homeless shelters throughout the city of Chicago.
And what else is happening where you are this morning?
So this morning, right now, we have high school student athletes that are out here from Washington and Whitney Young, and there will be more high school athletes that will be joining throughout the morning as we fill up the entire area out here in front of Willis Tower with the 3,000 pairs of shoes. So again, they collected, but they're also out here because they realize the importance and what 3,000 represents, especially on today.
All right, Joe, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Well, he's right. That's a powerful visualization when you see those shoes lined up like that and you realize each one represents an individual.
And there are probably a lot of folks out there who could use those shoes.
Absolutely.
Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the 9/11 attacks. The victims are represented by 3,000 pairs of empty shoes on the sidewalk across from the Willis Tower. Area high school athletes collected the shoes. They will then donate them to homeless shelters.
You see it now, it's not really but if you actually put people in the shoes, it's a lot.
When you actually see 3,000 pairs of shoes out there, you realize that it was a former family member. Maybe it was a brother, it was a sister, it was a teammate. That there was someone who was actually in these shoes who lost their lives.
Many of those teenage volunteers were just a couple of years old in 2001 when the 9/11 attacks happened. So they say, in addition to remembering the 9/11 victims, they're also remembering the approximately 3,000 shooting victims so far this year in Chicago. In the Media Center, John Garcia, ABC.
We're too young to remember the impact and the emotions of that devastating day.
I have some kind of memory. I just remember my parents probably being scared, watching the news. Scared because right here at Willis Tower, and we thought we might be hit.
Esteban Luna was just 3 years old at the time of the attacks. He spent the day volunteering with Buddy's Helpers to lay out nearly 3,000 pairs of shoes across from the Willis Tower. One pair for each victim.
It impacted me a lot because once you think about it, you're here right now, there's 3,000 shoes, and you see wow, that's a lot of shoes, and if you put people on them, wow, that's a lot.
All of the shoes will be donated to homeless shelters across Chicago, and flags will remain at half-staff at firehouses, police stations, and federal buildings for the next 72 hours. Andrea Darlis, WGN News.